I went 8 years to a one-room country grade school, and when I walked into high school that first day, I was basically lost. I mean, I didn't know that you went to different classes from a study hall or an assembly room. And the two people that really befriended me was Doris Davis and Dave McQueen. They were, I believe, seniors, and they directed me around, and I've never forgotten it. I appreciated their concern for me.
I believe the juniors were the class that initiated the freshmen. But first of all, they took us through downtown Longview. I think part of the time we were blindfolded. They took us through the spooky old elevator, and then they led us down to school, where the rest of the students were in this room, and we had to climb through a window and jump into where all these people were. Well, they had rigged up some kind of a machine that gave us an electric shock as we climbed up to the window. So believe me, we jumped through that window.
I was in the band, and we had the marching band for the football team, and I always enjoyed that because that way I got to go to the football games. I did not have a vehicle. My folks only had one vehicle, and very seldom did I ever get to have the vehicle. But, and I can't tell you what year, but one year, my great aunt, Catherine Deere, broke a bone. So I got to stay with her in Longview here for 6 weeks, and I got to walk to school, and I thought it was wonderful instead of riding the bus.
There was two buses in the district, one for the south, one for the north. Junior Churchill was my bus driver, and it was either ride the bus or, depending on if I had something after school, and I was lucky enough I could drive the old 1940 Chevy pickup.
We had a youth center that people from the village had donated and equipped and so forth, and it was a place to meet after ball games, after dances. There was no alcohol allowed. It was just a fun place to be, and it was upstairs over the restaurant, so you could run down and get a hamburger and a Coke anytime you wanted to.
Mr. St. John's was one of our teachers, because he's the one that talked to us about voting, that we should not vote straight Democrat or straight Republican, but always look at the man, what the man's going to do for you or the woman's going to do for you. And I've always admired him for that.
Well, my dad got sick when I was a sophomore, and I farmed a small farm that they had while I was in high school, and thanks to some very understanding and lenient teachers and faculty, I graduated. I wasn't on the honor roll, but I did get a diploma. I even took a correspondence course in ag mechanics and got a credit for it. That helped me be able to graduate, and that was all organized by the faculty because we were a small school and knew everybody personally.
Sometimes the coaches, we had a Spalding, and we went out for track one day, and me and Steve Ashby, we pole vaulters, you know, we thought we was. And he told us not to go too high. I said, how come? He threw his hat down, stomped on it, and said, man, I put up with you for all this basketball. I don't need this. All we did is ask him a question.
Ed Sauer, he was our ag teacher. He got married during Thanksgiving vacation as the ag boys went with some other chaperones to the International Livestock Show. When we came back, we met here at the school, and a carload of us, probably 12, 13, I don't know how many was in it. We took bacon and eggs and toast and went out to Mr. Sauer's house a couple of miles south of town about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and cooked breakfast for him and his wife. Of course, we got them out of bed. They'd only been married about a week.
When I was in the 7th grade, we had Betty Wilson. She's Murray now. She lives at Rossville. She had graduated from high school. She went 6 weeks to Eastern to school and came and taught us. And she had so much energy and enthusiasm, I knew then that I was going to be a teacher. And our band marched in the parade down at Eastern when I was a junior in high school. And when I looked up at Old Main, I knew that's where I was going to school.
I'm sure my parents heard the news of Pearl Harbor, but it wasn't discussed a lot, and I wasn't, you know, as impressed as the older people were. But the next day when I went to school, our principal, Mr. German, called an assembly, brought in a radio, very unusual to do that, and we all listened to Franklin D. Roosevelt declare war on Japan. And that day I did think some of the boys in this room are going to be either drafted or enlist in the service, and they were.
Well, back then, you know, you only had one referee, and you didn't touch a guy. If you touched him, it was foul. Wayne Norn, you've heard of that name? Okay, he was a referee, and he was tough. But when you guarded, if you took the ball away from the guy and you didn't touch him, most of the time you get a foul. And of course, we didn't score, but sometimes we only scored 16 points in the game, the whole team. With 6 men. It's like playing basketball with pads almost. 2 ends in the center. You had 2 halfbacks and a quarterback. It was 40 by 80 field, 40 yards wide and 80 yards long. It was 1st and 15, I think. Not 1st and 10, but 1st and 15. Quarterback can get underneath the center, but you can't hand the ball off. You have to lateral. It has to be a lateral. So if you want a quarterback sneak, quarterback got the ball, threw it to the halfback. He would run through the middle, hand it to you, and you'd 1, 2, 3, and then take off. That's a quarterback sneak. But the center, you wouldn't throw to the center very much because there was one guy guarding him and one on the ends, and if they didn't block him, he was dead meat. You know how we kicked extra points? Drop kick. You know what that is? Okay. I was thinking yesterday at home, I said, I wonder why we didn't hold that ball crossways and kick it. Because you had to drop it on the point. Yeah, it had to hit the ground, see, to kick an extra point.
Our last football game was against Uni High at that time. They played 6-man. They had a really good team my senior year. And we were getting beat pretty bad. And I remember I was on the field. Danny Snyder, I believe, was carrying the ball and somebody hit him. I heard his leg break. It sounded like a shotgun, and helped get him on the stretcher. When his foot wouldn't even be on the stretcher, his leg came straight down but turned off to the side. And as we were getting beat, the coach decided to let the underclassmen play, get a little experience. And 3 of us seniors were sitting on the bench, and the game was same as over. Well, it was over except just the time clock. And he looked at the 3 of us and he said, you guys want to end your career sitting here, or you want to end it on the field? And we kind of looked at each other and decided we were pretty comfortable right where we were, so we ended our career sitting on the bench.